G'day ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another Bitcoin update. I don't know if you guys like the new lighting. It's a little bit dark, but I think it's a little bit cinematic as well. I might change it up a little bit more over the next few days, add some color to it as well. But yeah, look, let me know what you think in the comments below. Maybe you want me to go back to the original kind of green screen. I think I probably will. But we'll see. And, you know, I'm back in the home state now. I was in Melbourne for a few days, so we're back in it, getting back into the Bitcoin analysis. What do we have to discuss today? I'll tell you what we have to discuss today. Multiple things. We've broken down from an uptrending yellow line that stems back from October. We've discussed this in the last couple of days. As you can see, we're having a little breakdown right now, and the big questions that surround Bitcoin is Bitcoin going to continue to correct, or is the correction actually over at this point? Because we have actually found support at this point in time. We have found support on the 50 EMA, that blue line on the screen here. Now, if we delete everything we have on the Bitcoin chart so we can get an understanding of what the 50 EMA actually is, we can see that the 50 EMA is basically the blockade between Bitcoin having a sizable move and, you know, having a small move and a sizable move. I mean, on a generalized scale, we've seen fake outs, of course, but overall, this thing is a pretty strong indicator for support and resistance for Bitcoin. Even just looking back at the charts here, just seeing those rejection points, seeing those support points. Some of them don't really touch, but they do come close. It does give a pretty good indication. Whenever we break out of this thing, whenever we break out above the 50 EMA, we generally see a large move, right? I'm circling a few occurrences where that has happened. And whenever we break down below it, we generally do see a pretty large move to the downside as well. And I've circled a few things there with rough circles. Because I don't have my regular mouse at this point. But, you know, as you can see, we lose it, we go down massively, we get above it, we go down pretty massively as well. Of course, sometimes it doesn't work out, just like everything in TA. Sometimes triangles see fake outs, for example. Sometimes this doesn't work out. But generally speaking, the 50 EMA, you know, in this occurrence, while you're above it, right, indicates that it was just a small correction, and if you move below it, it indicates that the correction is going to be having a second leg, just like what we saw over here in February through to March 2023. We had the first leg of the correction, we lost the 50 EMA, and we saw the second leg of correction after a clear, right, a clear 4 candles of retesting that 50 EMA, that was clearly supporting the price. Right now, just like what we did back here, okay, the 50 EMA is clearly supporting the price. We closed right on top of it and opened right on top of it, of course, by default. And, you know, it's clearly supporting the price just like what it was back here. And if we lose it, we can expect to see another leg to the downside. So where would that leg to the downside take us if we were to lose it, which isn't guaranteed, by the way, right? Where would it take us? Well, it would take us to the next logical support zone, okay? And that is 26.7K, right? To 25.2K. 25.2K being the stronger one support zone out of those 2 support zones I just listed. But overall, right, I've drawn a green box here for a region. That is the bounce zone. Provided we lose the 50 EMA, which, you know, could happen, that is the bounce zone we're looking at here, right? 25.2 to 26.7. So long as we're above that region or within that region, we're actually in good territory. If we lose that region, that's when we start to struggle for Bitcoin, and that's when we start to see potential changes to the macro structure. At this point in time, you know, we're looking pretty good. And, you know, we can see that, you know, things like the bull market support band are trending upwards rapidly towards that support region. So by the time we get down there, we could actually be seeing that support region, which is already very strong, actually bolstered by the bull market support band, making it even stronger, and bolstered by other things as well. And another thing we can look at really is the 200-week SMA. Now, I don't know if I have the indicator up. I do. It's the green line here. What you can see is a 200-week SMA, if we zoom in, is actually between that 25.2K and 26.7K support zone. And I don't need to tell you how strong a 200-week SMA is, right? It's the green line on the screen here. The 200-week SMA is basically one of the strongest macro moving averages Bitcoin has, okay? We don't jump up and down that above that thing and below that thing very easily. You know, we've done it like once or twice. Generally speaking, this thing indicates the bottoms of corrections. It indicated the bottom of the bear market here in 2015 over a period of like, 8 months of correction. It indicated the bottom here in 2018, 2019. It indicated the bottom of the COVID drop pretty much. And it indicated, you know, a bit of resistance over here after losing it in July, and overall resistance again in February. That just indicates that even from a downside, it's very strong. That is a strong moving average. So that in conjunction, right, with the bull market support band and in conjunction with the major bounce zone at 25.2K, between 25.2K and 26.7K, is major, okay? We will not lose this green zone easily, not in the slightest. That is a very, very strong region. So, with that said, I encourage you guys to remain non-biased and remain objective. If you are bearish right now, you are not looking at the charts. You simply cannot be bearish macro, right? While we're above these levels. It just doesn't make sense. You can be bearish short term, cool, because we haven't reached the levels yet. But macro, it simply doesn't make sense. Bull market support band, 200-week SMA, and the top of a local range that held Bitcoin down from June 2022 all the way through to March 2023 is in the same price region, same 2,000 USD price region, 1,500 USD price region. You're going to be bearish into that? Really? I don't know, guys. It seems a little iffy to me. You know, that's not to say there isn't a bearish argument to be made. For example, one of the bearish arguments you can make, and I really don't want to discuss this too much because I spend so much time talking about it in most videos I make, is the S&P 500. S&P 500 is finding very strong resistance here at its critical level, which I'll make pink right now. That critical level right now is at 4,180. If you just look back in the price history, that has been a major zone for the S&P 500 on multiple occurrences. We've rejected from that zone on multiple occurrences. We've bounced to that zone on a few occurrences. And I'm circling many, many regions where we've seen rejections from that zone. And if it's anything like last time, we could be seeing a rejection from that zone again. And that would actually form an M formation, a double top formation, a McDonald's logo formation, which would send us downwards in the S&P. The only thing is the S&P 500 isn't perfectly correlated to Bitcoin. In fact, the correlation to the S&P 500 that Bitcoin has, as of current, is around 0.4% correlation, which is very, very low. It's only a 40% correlation. You can very well see Bitcoin do things that the S&P does not do. And that's exactly what we've been seeing, right, since basically the bottom in November. Look at the charts, right? If you're making the claim that the S&P 500 is going to drag Bitcoin downwards and the NASDAQ, whatever, they all look the same anyway, right? What you're essentially saying is this. Bitcoin is reliant on the S&P. Bitcoin is reliant on traditional markets. If you look at what Bitcoin has done since November 2022, Bitcoin has gone upwards exclusively, basically, on a macro scale. Since November 2022, we've had maybe 20% of the time we've been correcting, most of the time we've been going upwards, and on a generalized scale, we've 2x'd, okay? What has the S&P done since November 2022? It has literally gone sideways. It has vaguely trended upwards. It's had periods of massive corrections, and it's gone sideways and hasn't broken out of the same range it was testing while Bitcoin was bottomed out. That is not a strong correlation, right? We've literally seen a deviation. The evidence is right in front of you. They're not strongly correlated. It's a weak correlation at this point in time. The correlation used to be strong, but Bitcoin became independent, especially when we saw the banking situation going on in the United States of America, the bailouts of the banks. In that situation, we saw the deviation, right? A deviation in what used to be a very strong correlation to now what is a loose correlation. Bitcoin has gained a massive amount of independence. It's come into its own body during this period of time because people have seen the faults in the financial system and they've flocked to Bitcoin. They've seen the fact that we're probably going to be seeing a recession and further downside in the S&P, and they've flocked to Bitcoin. It's made Bitcoin more independent. So that argument, in my opinion, is just as speculative as the argument I'm making for the 4-year cycle theory, except it has no TA to back it up. So, I don't like that argument at all, but it is a bearish argument you can technically make. It's very, 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 very faulted. I think the best thing that you can do in any scenario whatsoever, regardless of 4-year cycle, regardless of recession, regardless of all this junk, the best thing you can do is trust the charts, right? Because I can tell you right now, yes, I'm bullish. I'm bullish macro, yes, of course. Bullish macro, been bullish macro since 16K. All right, I'm bullish macro, cool. But if we lose 25.2K, the 4-year cycle will still be valid because we wouldn't have seen a new low yet. But I won't be bullish anymore because I trust the charts, okay? I will be optimistically cautious. I guess that's the probably way you can put it. I would say we've lost a critical level. I'm de-risking. I'm optimistic, but it doesn't look particularly good. That would probably be what I'm going to be doing at that point. Obviously, I can't speak for what I'm going to do in the future. We'd have to analyze the market at that period of time. But that's something I've repeated over and over and over again. At this point in time, Bitcoin is still above its bounce zone. It can go down a little bit more, and it can. And look, if we're looking at time frame, here's a different thing we can kind of go into here. Time frame is pretty interesting with this kind of thing. It's very hard to know exactly what the time frame is going to be because we've got conflicting indicators. For example, on the daily chart, it says stochastic RSI says we're reaching oversold territory. The bull market support band hasn't quite reached that support zone yet, which indicates we could be seeing a delay. The weekly chart is looking a bit overbought, actually. But it is resembling quite, quite massively what's happened here in 2019 with a few doji candles before a breakout, except that breakout isn't quite materializing to the extent it did in 2019. We've got 13 hours until the weekly candle close. That should be very important, right? If we get that weekly candle close above 28.6k, that's excellent news for the bulls. If we don't, we're going to be seeing some further correction most likely. But what I'm saying is, weekly chart looks a bit overbought, daily chart looks a bit oversold, and the 4-hourly chart, I haven't actually seen this price action occur. I tried this up before watching the video, but it looks like it's losing that support zone there, so we might be going down for another retest of the lows, but generally speaking, that's a very, very sharp correction, okay? And generally, when you see a correction that sharp, you generally see a bounce in between, okay? I'm just putting that out there. I would also like to say that on a macro scale, if we're looking at Bitcoin and we're being generally serious here on a macro scale, okay, and we flip over the chart, and this is what I like to do occasionally when sometimes the price action is a little bit hard to read. What do we have here on the macro scale? Okay, let's delete everything. What do we have here on the macro scale? We have an inverted head and shoulders pattern, okay? We are seeing a rally, which is actually a correction. Remember, I flipped over the chart now. If that rally continues upwards, okay, to say 25.2k, which is the top of that bounce range, if we continue upwards to 25.2k in that rally, we will be rejecting from there, right? And we will likely be going back down. And what would that be? That would be a massive inverted cup and handle formation, which on the regular chart is a massive cup and handle formation alone, which would indicate a break to the upside, okay? And then further upwards, which would be consistent with a 4-year cycle theory. So even inverting the chart, we can see just really how strong Bitcoin is looking on a macro scale. I don't think it looks that bad. I'm not particularly worried at this point in time. Again, if we lose 25.2k, that's when I'll be worried. It is important to note as well, we could see a liquidation wick below 25.2k, which without actually losing it. We generally do that at big levels, and so it wouldn't surprise me at all if we did see that. That would obviously shock a lot of people. But FOMC, guys, in 10 days, and FOMC is generally a turning point for price action. Now, I'm not going to get into the actual data itself. We'll look at that a bit closer when the market's predictions for FOMC are a bit more accurate and when it comes closer to date. But it looks like we're going to be seeing another 25 basis point hike. But my point is, in 10 days, we'll see FOMC, and that's generally when you see a massive amount of volatility come to the market. That could be the zone, the time frame in which we bottom out, potentially. We generally bottom out, around events like this. FOMC could be the bottom date for this correction. But overall, it's pretty hard to say when the bottom date will be. It's important to note, guys, that there's no real requirement for Bitcoin at this point in time. The 4-year cycle theory, it's not a theory anymore. It's actually a trend. I'm just used to saying theory from 2021 and 2020. But I'll show you it right now. There's no real requirements other than not going to a new low between now and the halving. That makes the 4-year cycle active. Okay, so let me bring up the chart. I looked at the wrong page here. Hold on 1 second. I'll bring it up for you guys. So we can see, here we go, weekly chart, 4-year cycle. Then nothing really needs to happen now, okay? Important. As long as we don't go to a new low, the 4-year cycle is still active. Because the only thing the 4-year cycle can predict is tops and bottoms. It doesn't predict what happens in between. We just kind of know off experience and off what generally happens, the in-between's kind of sideways, slightly upwards, right, until the halving. And then after the halving, the bull market occurs. So we actually could go basically as low as we wanted to, so long as we didn't go to new lows, right, below 15k, and the 4-year cycle would still technically be active. That doesn't mean we should stick by it until it's invalidated. It just means that, keep it in the back of your mind, right? There's many things that can happen to price action. We saw the COVID drop. We saw massive corrections in a very short period of time. 4-year cycle is still active, right? You can basically see anything you want, sparing new lows, and it will still be active. So I don't think the 4-year cycle is necessarily in danger. I don't even think it will be in danger if we lose 25.2k. I think the 4-year cycle would be in danger. I would just flip cautious at that point. I think the 4-year cycle would be in danger if we lose something like, we're looking like 18k, and that's like dropping into this real low range we saw here. That's when it's really in danger, because that's when you're at genuine risk of making a new low, right? Even in 2015, looking back to a very old cycle, we saw Bitcoin, bottom out here. In January 2015, we saw a huge amount of sideways price action for like 8 months, 7-8 months, and then we retested the low. So, we could do the same thing. And the 4-year cycle still continued from that point. I'm just saying the 4-year cycle is very, very sturdy. It can handle a lot and it can still work out. Generally, the only thing you need to know about the 4-year cycle is that after the halving we go up, And after we go up, we go down. And then there's a period of time where we just do whatever. We generally go sideways. That's what we're in right now. So I will also say, speaking about before your cycle theory, 355 days, guys, until the halving. And this obviously shifts around this kind of countdown here based on what's going on with mining. But, what I'll say is that, we've got around a year until the halving. And that means we've got around a year until the official bull market actually occurs, because it occurs after the halving. And that also means we've got about a year until altcoins will start outperforming Bitcoin on a generalized scale. I'm not talking about like, what do you call them? Exceptions. I'm talking about on a generalized scale. That is when they will start outperforming Bitcoin if we're taking the historical data seriously, which we should be doing, of course, because it's the only thing we have. So yeah, that's all I really want to say for Bitcoin, I suppose. I guess you could say Ethereum's rejecting. It doesn't look particularly good right now. That could be indicative of the fact that maybe Bitcoin needs to go down further, and maybe Bitcoin needs to go down below the 50 EMA, sorry. Yeah, could happen for sure. As I said, the bounce zone's the only thing we're really watching right now, but if you're really interested in short term, yeah, the 50 EMA is also very important because we've been holding it for the last couple of days, and that's at 27.3k right now. But since it's the EMA, exponential moving average, it moves around quite a lot based on price action, so I'd be keeping an eye on that. But guys, thank you for watching the video. I have an exclusive promotion right now off the BitGet Exchange, a campaign. I'm giving away 1,000 USDT to the most active trader using my referral link, who's trading the most in my referral link until the 27th of April from now. I'm also giving away 5 lots of 100 USDT to active traders on my referral link, and I'm giving away 5 lots of 50 USDT to random people using my referral link. So if you're interested in that campaign, if you're interested in getting access to a great exchange as well, 5 times lower fees than Binance, optional KYC, you can do that, and you can sign up using my referral link. You help out the channel, you help out yourself. I've been personally using this exchange for over a year. I reached out to these guys for a partnership. They did not reach out to me. That just gives you a bit of authenticity there. I actually wanted a partnership with these guys. I didn't just take one. So yeah, sign up using my referral link if you're interested. And then we're going into Crypto Academy, guys. If you want to learn how to trade, this is the place to do it. 10-unit Become a Trader course developed by myself and Megawell Crypto. We made this course last year. It's been doing very well. We've got about 100 students at this point in time. We haven't had any complaints about the course. In fact, we've only heard good things about it. So go ahead and read up about it on the website and check out all the information about it. Throw us an email here at cryptoacademycourses@gmail.com if you're interested or want to ask us a question. And finally, guys, the VIP group. I trade altcoin signals on Telegram. I post them to the VIP community. We've got 136 VIPs at this point in time, and you can become one of them for 100 USD for a 3-month membership. So that's important stuff there as well. If you want to trade altcoins with me, want to make some extra money, you can go ahead and do that. You can check out our previous trading results. I'm not just saying, trust me guys, it's going to be good. Check out the previous results, see for yourself. It's been good historically. So check it out, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next video. Cheers.